I realize I'm like talking about these two modes of being, and I don't want you guys to like go out into the world and think that Heidegger is saying that there's two modes of being, readiness to hand, which is the fundamental one, and then there's present at hand, and science, and honestly, most of the ways that we encounter things when we're actually, making them thematizable or something that we can articulate and talk about with others as present at hand. No, that's not the point. That is what most people run with, and it's wrong. Because there's a third mode of being, which is the fundamental mode of being, right? The first mode of being is the one that requires those other two modes of being. And it's called existence with a Z. Existence is a kind of being or a mode of being that is projecting itself forward onto the horizon of possibilities, just like the word care, right? Just like the word care. They go hand in hand because Dasein is its existence. Its essence is its existence. But when Heidegger says that, he's not saying what Sartre's saying, or maybe it's related, but you should probably think about it different. To say that your existence is your essence is to say that how you have been projecting yourself and how you can project yourself onto the horizon of possibilities, that is your essence. Not the what, not the substance, but the form. It's not the how you've done it, but it's the that you are always already doing it and you're going to keep doing it. I could drop this microphone and walk over and just unplug the computer and never go on the internet again. I have that capacity. And that capacity is on my horizon of possibilities right now. And I'm not going to do it. I'm going to finish out this lecture. But like, you could get up and leave, right? Like you can do anything. So it's like, it's not that I choose to keep lecturing that is the most interesting thing about humans. It's not that you're continuing to watch that is the most interesting thing about you. No, the most interesting thing about Dasein at bottom is that we're a modal possibility temporalizing kind of being, which is to say we have a horizon of possibility on the future, and it is only on the basis of possible ways of moving forward that we have already seen or heard about or thought about that we are able to project in the first place. Which is why history matters. History matters because it is only on the basis of ways that we have been that we're able to project ways that we can be. And of course, we could say, well, no one's ever done this one thing. In fact, people have always done this other thing. So I'm going to do the opposite of that thing that people have always done. Yeah, but you're still doing that on the basis of your conception of what people have done. And so the point is that any way that you want to take over how you project is going to require some kind of a sense for how things have already been and what the possible ways of moving forward actually are. That actually helped me skip right into the area of this lecture that I wanted to be in, which is that as opposed to linear now sequence time, we have this other kind of time where we are, I'm going to go ahead and just remove all of that. So linear now sequence of time versus existence. Or we can spell it with the Z. It's the same thing. Existence, facticity, fallenness. Now, we already talked about fallenness. It's the idle talk, ambiguity, and curiosity cycle. But existence, facticity, fallenness is what he calls the care structure. It's the structure of care, which is to say, these three things make up care. Now, I already said that care is this modal projecting, which obviously also relates to the understanding, right? Facticity has to do with this sort of blunt fact that you're here. This blunt fact that you are in the century that you're in the year that you're in the family that you're in. If we talk about like John Rawls's like natural lottery, well, the way that all the dice ended up rolling in your case, that is your facticity. And of course, it's not just you, it goes out beyond you, because some of the most interesting facts about you, if somebody was writing about you 100 years from now, is going to require a lot of context about where you're at right now. And of course, to you, you're walking past things and people and the things that people say and stuff like that. You're not thinking like an anthropologist or a historian. There's going to be all kinds of things that in the future, someone who's writing about you is going to have to go, okay, folks, but you have to imagine when they were doing this thing, this is what the world was like. Okay, well, that's all facticity too. That's facticity. All of that shit is part of your facticity. So existence has to do with our projection onto the horizon of possibilities. Facticity has to do with the blunt fact of what it is, of where we're at, which is something that, René Descartes strips away in his meditations, but it's not something that he strips away in his discourse on method. When he's trying to sell the public on the idea of science and philosophy, he actually uses his own experience and talks about the town that he grew up in and what life was like and all of these idiosyncratic particularities that resulted in him getting into the things that he got into, that resulted in him becoming a genius polymath, that resulted in him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like Descartes understands facticity is important, but it's like, not when he's doing these Cartesian meditations, right? Not when he's stripping away everything. Fallenness, we already got into it. So why do these three things go together like they're all one thing? I said that Heidegger's, playing with German language, which is already the Lego block language, right? And to put existence, facticity, and fallenness together, sure, it's frustrating for people who are trying to wrap their head around what's going on. But once you actually get how these things fit together, and then you say, this is the structure of care for Dasein. You got to think back to what was the structure of the there, right? Understanding, state of mind, or attunement and discourse. Well, those things go together with the structure of care in a really interesting way, and ways that we could tease out for hours. And I'm just going to have to skip over a lot of it to simply say, when you start thinking philosophically, it's already too late. You don't get to get out behind your facticity. You don't get to choose to have not already been in the fallenness of, which is to say, like, your average everyday way of being for your whole life growing up was pretty much this superficial curiosity, idle chatter, and ambiguous way of talking about things that makes it so that you never actually have to commit and get to the bottom of anything.